Because if we actually give them the things that these other kids have had, they might have another gear. So when I got to college and got into that class, it was the first time in my life I could actually concentrate without all the drama around me, right? And I was like, wait, you're gonna, and then I got an academic scholarship. I was like, you're gonna pay me to read? This is the easiest thing in the world. And I have my own room and there's no one yelling in the other room. This is easy. But you gotta look for that. And so if it's about talent optimization, identifying, developing, retaining talent, then that's my version of what DEI looks like. And the D part is it's n-dimensional, right? It's not just about race or gender or the state you live in. It is about who you are and how much talent is lurking beneath and how much do we think you'd actually benefit in a value-add sense.
Freya tells the truth on race. This is going to be amazing to check out. The truth is going to be a shortcut to you guys. Let's go right into this video, guys.
Obviously, the Claudine Gay stuff is part of this enormous upheaval happening in higher education, without which I don't think UATX would have been founded when it was. One of the parts of that debate is about DEI. I've written about the need to end DEI. John Haidt was sort of going viral earlier on Twitter today for saying something similar. You and I think, somewhat disagree on that. You had an op-ed recently in the Wall Street Journal in which you said, I worry that the desire to take down DEI in its entirety will make successes like mine harder, even impossible to realize. So I wanted to ask you, what does good DEI look like, and how will we know when we're seeing it?
Where do we disagree?
Well, I think I'm saying it's hard for me to imagine a good version of a DEI bureaucracy. Not that diversity or equity and inclusion as virtues are bad. I think they're very good, at least if equity means equality of opportunity. If it's equality of outcome, I don't think that's a fair measure of success or justice. So it's just hard for me to imagine reforming a current bureaucracy that, to me, seems to have a kind of Manichaean worldview and pit students against each other in a kind of zero-sum game for victimhood status. Now, that doesn't mean that, my life has benefited because of efforts to make the world more inclusive. Obviously so.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about either of those dimensions.
Okay.
What I really mean is, can we get the people with the most innate talent to have opportunities? Mm-hmm. That's what I really mean. So, often people ask me to write a letter of recommendation for their 4-year-old for a private school. Johnny breaks graham crackers brilliantly. I mean, what am I supposed to write? And so I bet we would both agree that a 4-year-old from a rich family doesn't deserve to go to a better preschool than a 4-year-old from a middle-class family. What has that 4-year-old merited to get into a better school? So what I'm saying is that I am after truly talent identification. I think that admissions and hiring and all those things really are about trying to find who's going to be the most successful at the job. And often, or at least sometimes, that is not the person with the best current resume. I believe that the delta, the difference that I'm willing to bump someone up, gets a lot smaller as they age. So for a 4-year-old, I'm willing to make pretty large concessions to make sure that 4-year-olds from every neighborhood can go to really great schools, because I don't think you've merited anything at 4 years old. When it gets to high school, I'd do less, because you have had a chance to show, and we've had data on your true progression. And so for me, it really is about how can you use data to identify real talent? Not current accomplishments. Sometimes they're correlated and sometimes they're not so much. And so that's what I think all this discussion is missing, right? Okay, I didn't have the world's greatest SAT scores. You can probably have figured that out by now, right? but I had talent. And so it would have been great if there were a system that would have been able to say, given look what he had to overcome to get those SAT scores. Why would I accept someone over him with slightly higher SAT scores who had tutors every day? That would tell me that that person's innate ability is not great relative to this kid who basically did it with all these headwinds, right? And the issue with the way it's practiced now, what I'm describing, this is not the way it's practiced now, but the way it's practiced now is that you end up with oftentimes lower scores with people who had a lot of opportunities. That's also not consistent with talent identification. If my daughters, and I've told them this, if my daughters need help when they get ready to apply for college, it is not because anything was held against them. It's just because they suck. And it's okay to suck. I'll love them the same. But they have had every opportunity I can dream about, everything. Like, oh, you know, kid accidentally lifts a leg up. We're like, oh, are you into ballet? We'll sign you up for that too. Like, I mean, we're into everything. Everything. Violin. I mean, these are the worst concerts anyone's ever heard, but we go. This is great. This is the worst thing. It's great. Right? And so seriously, you see this, that there's if someone has had that level of resource and they can't get the bar, they just don't get the bar under my view. But if they come from the inner city Atlanta and they're just beneath a bar where everyone else has had tutors, you might want to look at that and go, there might be something really in that student. Because if we actually give them the things that these other kids have had, they might have another gear. So when I got to college and got into that class, it was the first time in my life I could actually concentrate without all the drama around me. Right? And I was like, wait, and then I got an academic scholarship. I was like, you're gonna pay me to read? This is the easiest thing in the world. And I have my own room and there's no one yelling in the other room. This is easy. But you gotta look for that. And so if it's about talent optimization, identifying, developing, retaining talent, then that's my version of what DEI looks like. And
Makes sense.
the D part is it's n-dimensional, right? It's not just about race or gender or the state you live in.
Thank you.
It is about who you are
As a person.
and how much talent is lurking beneath and how much do we think you'd actually benefit in a value-add sense from being a part of our university or our preschool or whatever it may be.
Smart
Yeah.
answer.
Last question. Let's get these two young women right here, and Roland answer both of them.
Thank you so much. I didn't actually expect you to see me. So bear with me. I've had this question kind of burning and bubbling for a while. You said, why are we losing so much talent in disadvantaged communities? And then you talked about, can we get the people with the most innate talent to rise to the top? Talent identification. How can you use real data to identify real talent? And then finally, the real kind of gut-wrenching moment, this is when you can really speak to W.B. Du Bois. He says, there's a lot of talent in these communities. The top talents rise to the top. I'm thinking of the talented 10th. But take that thought bubble. Do you need strife? Do you need desperation? Do you need that,
Yes. Hunger.
Yeah, but a little bit more sorry, I'm going to be one of those people in your fellows. Let's look at Hesiod. Let's look at all of Greek tragedy. They need that actual strife, that chaos that moves them. Do I need that in order to become that talented thing, that thing that brings beauty, truth, goodness to the world? I actually have to go through strife to get there?
No,
That's great last question.
I don't know the answer to that. I have met really, really brilliant people who didn't go through that. And I'm hopeful for my daughter's sake that they don't have to go through that to also do brilliant things. If so, then I'll have to start waking them up in the morning. Just wake up, something like that. I have met, I think that I don't know what creates it, but there is a temperament. There is a set of characteristics, traits, beliefs. I've seen, my good friend Steve Levitt grew up with a doctor dad, in Minnesota. That dude worked hard. He cared about these questions. I had a lot more in common with him than I did a lot of my colleagues. So I've seen it in all up the spectrum. And one of the things that I find so amazing just about the world we live in is that thing inside you that you're describing. I've seen it amongst some kids in the poorest areas in our country. I used to call it the dog in you. Do you have the dog in you? I've seen it in precocious kids who are faculty kids who just have this thing in them. I've seen it in Africa. I've seen it in Europe. I've seen it in the French suburbs where these schools are supposed to be bad. You meet some kid and you can just feel they got that thing in them. I don't know where it comes from. You ask a brilliant question. Does it have to come from tragedy? And I don't have the empirical knowledge to know. Maybe it's 20% higher. But I've seen it across the globe. And it's the thing I'm attracted to. And it's the thing that I think earlier in my career attracted people to me. I think they thought there's something crazy about this kid. He's willing to stay up all night and work. And before we close, I just want to say one last thing to the students here. This is an amazing opportunity, right? I've, been tangentially just on the sidelines witnessing what's happening at UATX, and it's a phenomenal, phenomenal opportunity. I have a student in one of my classes who have gone through one of the forbidden courses and told me it was one of the best experiences they've ever had because there was no questioning about the other person's morals or their attitude. Just because they were asking questions didn't mean they were odd. They could just get down to understanding. So I think this is going to be a phenomenal, phenomenal opportunity. And I'll just leave you with the same thing I tell my students at Harvard, which is remember why you came here. You can actually change the world. I get up every morning and believe that today is going to be the day. You can actually change the world. And people are going to say things to you like, maybe even your parents who are here with you, they're going to say, you can't say stuff like that, or be careful doing that. Ignore them. I'm going to wear my drama with my colleagues like a badge of honor. No one that I respect who's actually changed the world did it with a golden road. Not one. Go back and look at history. Well, Niall's better at that than I am, but go back and look at history. Everyone who has done something big has suffered in some way for trying to do something.
So the D part is not about race, skill. It's not about race, where you were being brought up from, or it's about who you are, your personal self. According to what it says in-dimensional. It's about who your person is. That's what matters, your personality itself. So whenever I see Black people carrying it as a way of like escape or opportunity for them, I'll be like, DEI is not how you guys are taking it as. It's basically about yourself in general, about your talents that you have, your drive, your that hunger in you to want more. Do you understand? Irrespective of where you were being brought up, where you were being raised, is who you are in person. So his definition of DEI is different from any other person's definition I've ever heard in my life. It gives you that open mind. Like, if this is how DEI is, I would 100% support it to my full chest. Do you understand? The way his viewpoint is totally different. The way I've heard black people explaining DEI for me is different from what he's saying right now. Roland is saying right here. And I do love his definition of how he sees DEI to be. Do you understand? It says interdimensional, not just diverse in general. So it's a very beautiful statement. I love how he answered the lady that asked that question. I love how he's coordinated. I love how he's able to like speak in a very beautiful manner, and the advice is giving people. If you are hungry for this, go for it. Don't allow anyone to talk you out from it. And I love his viewpoint. It's beautiful to watch him. This is my first time like watching his video, and I love it. It's really good. Comment down below what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up. Share this video to as many as you can. Subscribe to our channel, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.